All right, so now we understand how to measure the price level using price indexes. One of the things we like to do is to compare dollar amounts over time, but if you just look at the dollar amount in that year stated as it was that year, that's what we call a nominal value. But when I compare, say, a salary from today to a salary from 10 years ago, and I leave it in nominal values, it's not really comparing apples to apples because there's been some amount of inflation. So I need to get these two values, these two nominal values, into something that's actually comparable. So using price indexes, there's actually two different things we can do to try to be able to answer these sorts of questions that allow us to make our comparisons over time mean something. So one thing we can do is we can look at the answer to this question. What is the value in today's dollars? So let's look at how the median income has changed over time in our country over, say, a 50-year period. So I have some data that tells me that the 1963 median income is, let's see, 6,200. And we're going to compare that to, let's do 50 years later, 2013 median income is reported as 52,250. All right, so those are both nominal values, meaning that the 6,200 is stated in 1963 dollars. The 52,250 is stated in 2013 dollars, and so directly comparing them isn't very helpful. So we want to get them into something that is comparable. We essentially kind of want to remove the impact or the effect of the inflation by using our price indexes. All right, so we need some price index information. The CPI for 1963, I looked it up at the Census Bureau, is 30.6, and for 2013 it is 233. So 1963 was clearly before the base year, which would be 100. 2013 is clearly after. The base year is around 1983. That's where the index would be worth 100. All right, so I have all this information. How do I actually go about doing the calculation? Well, let's think about what we're trying to do. We're trying to make the 6,200, which is in 1963 dollars, we want it to be in 2013 dollars so I can do an apples to apples comparison. So what I want is the 2013 value. What I have is the 1963 value. So I need to do something to convert 1963 to 2013. All right, so when we think about the fact that this is in 1963 dollars, I kind of want to think about it as dividing out the 1963 dollars to remove the 1963 dollars. So if you think about what you would do if you were multiplying fractions, if the 1963 value is essentially in the numerator, then if I divide it by 1963 dollars, those get pulled out. And then I want it to actually be in 2013 dollars, so I need to multiply it by the 2013 CPI. And so by doing this, I will actually be left with a 2013 value. So using our numbers that we have here, that would be 6,200 times 233 divided by 30.6. And that works out to 47,209. All right, so this here, this 30.6 kind of removes the 1963 dollars from this amount, and then we put in the 2013 dollars by doing this. So it's this ratio here, the relationship of the 2013 price level to the 1963 price level, that will actually give us this amount here. So what we have done then is said that using our CPI, the average household earned $6,200 in 1963 dollars, which is supposed to be equivalent to the 1963 household on average earning $47,209 in 2013 dollars. So if these CPIs are correct, if they're not overestimating, underestimating inflation, then what we can see is that average income in real terms, once you remove the inflation, has gone up from 47,000 to 52,000 in the last 50 years. All right, so another way we can use the price indexes is to track changes in a measure over time. So for example, I have some information on the minimum wage in recent years. In 2008, and I think this is just the US minimum wage, it can differ across states, we had it at $6.55, and in 2012 it had been raised to $7.25, which is about a 10% increase, which is a significant number and a change of income. But that's a 10% increase in nominal value. So we need the CPIs for each one of these years, which I'm writing here, so we can actually make an apples-to-apples comparison. Because even though we're only talking about 4 years in this example, the $6.55 is in 2008 dollars, the $7.25 is in 2012 dollars. So we need to find a way to make this, again, an apples-to-apples comparison. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to take the nominal value and we're going to divide it by its own CPI, okay? And then multiply by 100, just to kind of deal with the index issues. And what that gives us really is the value in real terms of the base year dollars, right? So we're essentially extracting the impact of whatever inflation has occurred those years. So let's do some calculations here. We're going to be looking at 655 divided by 215.3 times 100, and that will equal 304. So $3.04 in real terms. And for 2012, we're looking at 725 divided by 2296 times 100. And that works out to 316. That's a 6, believe it or not. There we go. So now we see that the minimum wage has gone up, not only in nominal terms, but also in real terms. And in fact, you can do your percentage calculation where you would take the 316 minus 304, so that's a 12-cent increase, as a percent of the original value of 304, and you multiply by 100, and you would find that we have had a 4% real increase in this minimum wage. So what was a nominal 10% increase is actually a 4% increase in real terms. So that's one thing that's interesting. Another thing that, just to kind of give you an idea about the minimum wage over time, the base year is basically 1982, 1983. They pick some sort of month in the midst of that time period. And so that's where the index, the CPI, would be 100, not 215, not 229, but 100. And if you look at the minimum wage for that time period, it was $3.35. So in real terms then, our minimum wage is lower today, even after the increase, than it was back in 82, 83. I'm not sure what that's significant of, but I just thought it was an interesting little fact. We can go to a whole nother debate about minimum wage and its impact, but just looking here at its value in real terms, we can see how it's changed over these years. All right, so all of this then tells you, both in this example here and in the previous example, ways that you can use price indexes to account for inflation. So that you're going to do an apples-to-apples comparison. You're going to look at real values, or at least values in the same year's dollars, and then you can make your comparisons. None of this has addressed some of the issues with the price indexes. Are they accurate? Do they over account for inflation? Do they under account for inflation? And there's lots of issues and debates about that. But you know, it's the best measure we have at the moment. It's the official measure. And if you're trying to write a report about anything with historical figures in it, you're going to want to be able to understand how to use these CPIs, these inflation price indexes, to account for that.